Good morning and welcome to today's live show. We do see a crazy good day yesterday, and this is very likely to continue. We were just talking about how, yes, this looks bullish all around, but let's be just a little bit aware of how things could go wrong, because we do have some things lurking in the background that look like they could be a little bit interesting, right? They could really spice up this market. And we did just get some bad readings of CPI, and we were talking about the fact that this 10-year might come down dramatically as people start to price in recession scares. Dollar is continuing in that downward direction, about to hit our 106.49 level. That'll be very important to see what happens there. But we are noticing that the SPY is breaking to all-time highs potentially again. So we're watching for this to head in the upward direction. The way that we're going to know if this is overall still going to be very bullish is, one, if we get a good weekly bar. And then I think this thing could continue into next week, right? I think we could see this. We could even see this cross up. We could even see one more week to get us to that monthly expected move or something like that. And then in February, we actually tag the upside move, and then we start to experience something bad. So that's just something I'm looking at this moment. It's more just something that goes, hey, this is a bullish move, but I want to be prepared in case something actually goes wrong, right? This is still a very bullish move at this moment. The 2-hour is pointing in the upward direction, saying, hey, I am very likely to go to a daily expected upside move, but the thing that could go wrong is if that 30-minute needs to pull back, well, then we might see that cross down as that is slightly overbought. But it's still a very good move for this 30-minute. It's a good, solid, positive move. And so it can give it up. It has given up these areas on the MACD before, right? We have seen this area given up before, but we just want to see if that 30-minute is actually rotating down. Now, we do have lower implied volatility today, so we'll see if something crazy does actually take the market into an unexpected type of move. But as of right now, just this little zone right here is where we should sit for the SPY at this moment. Looking over at some other things, we're seeing the dollar still drop off, the 10-year yield start to drop off. HYG still produce that positivity, makes sense. XLU producing a little bit of positivity there, and we actually do notice that, wow, weirdly enough, FFIE up 10%. Very, very nice. There's one more I wanted to look at. Oh yeah, I want to check out nail. So it looks like home builders are, for the most part, saying this move is still real at this moment. So we'll be paying attention. And then it was volatility. Volatility was the last thing I really wanted to check. Look at this volatility. Look at this little 30-minute signal that could pop up right away in the morning, right? If this goes away, like I said, we could still end up with that squeeze for a few days, maybe going on for a week or week and a half, and then we end up down towards 1212. But right now, I just want to pay attention if we create some kind of floor here, because this 2-hour chart is showing that flat divergence there, or at least a double bottom potential divergence with the MACD, showing it right there with the RSI. If you blow this thing up, you see it right there. So this is going to be your, you know, especially if you didn't watch to the end of the video, right? We said this towards the end of the video, that it's really good to watch the end of the video, because VIX actually ended up being like the main thing I think you need to be watching, right? The volatility can give us a good indication of how serious this will be. If this is a 30-minute cross up and it just falls back down, okay. But if this 2-hour is able to cross, you did pretty much what we said you were going to do over last weekend, right? We were like, okay, you come down to these areas, you get some kind of reaction, you coil up, and then you see that big move out. So I think volatility is something you seriously want to keep on your radar at this moment. I think this will be a great hint, and I think you could even look at a 30-minute for that hint, right? If you start to see rejection, if you start to see that turn around, well, then that 2-hour's got a good shot to turn up, and you're making some kind of floor here. So we'll see what happens with it. It's still rather negative at this moment, as you can see. The SPY, though, still heading to upward levels, nothing to react to at this moment. Who's seeing some interesting stuff? Inflation up, consumer spending down, evaluations way too high, market. This is so bullish. Well, the weird thing about today we do have some data things going on, right? We have some stuff going on. So let's pull that up, because we did have retail sales this morning, right? I don't think I got the number yet. Let me reload this thing. Yeah, retail sales coming in at negative 0.9. Negative 0.9. So once again, the thing we were talking about last night. Now, I don't think I explained in the video perfectly, but I was trying to just get it across to you guys that people could legitimately be pricing in possible recession. This could be the start of that. Now, during that pricing in of recession, you do a lot of the time see people react up. Now, why do they react up? Well, because the 10-year yield is coming down dramatically. They think that's a good thing. They're still thinking inflation, inflation, inflation. But you see a negative 0.9% retail sales month over month. That's kind of a big deal. Like that's a pretty big difference to what you were supposed to get. What, 0% was the forecast, and you're down almost 1%. Yeah, it shows like that probably weakness in the consumer, or prices maybe getting outpriced there. So we'll see if this affects the market, right? We've gotten bad CPI, we've gotten bad PPI that kind of point towards inflation, while retail sales dramatically drops. Hey, if they're reading into it in a certain way, they could say, okay, we need to stop fighting inflation so much. We might need to cut these rates. And I think the bond market is signaling that right now, that they're fearful that we need to cut rates due to a potential recession. And so as that happens, though, the yields are going down. And as people are obsessed with the fact that, oh, yields going down is bullish, and they're not paying attention to possible recession getting priced in, it can cause some positivity. That's why I'm worried about this move. I still think it's a great move. I still think this is a great close on the bigger time frames. I'm still saying, hey, this could head higher, but I'm going to seriously be watching out from this point right now to the next couple of weeks, right? I'm going to be paying attention for reversal signals that say we are going to head down. That's what I'm going to be looking for over the next 2 weeks. I'll be focusing on it very, very intently so that I can potentially take a trade with it, because I think this is going to end up being some kind of major top, whether for a correction or crash. I still think this will be a major top here in the next couple of weeks, really. So I'll be watching, right? If the signals don't prove it, then I have nothing to do. But I just wanted to put that out there. I think we're paying attention to the right things right now. The only way we know if we're paying attention to the right things later on, right? When we look back. Japan news on Sunday. Yes, I'm very glad you brought up the Japan news on Sunday, because I was bringing that up in last night's video, and we were talking about the JPY, right? We were talking about the JPY, and the USD is falling off, so the JPY is gaining some ground here. Now, what we want to see is this start to flip positive, and you're noticing that the weekly, yes, it is crossing up, but it's on a potentially negative bar as of right now, but some great pressure at the low with the wick. So we'll see if this can produce some green here, but this does say that that yen carry trade could pull over into potentially even next week, right? This is a trigger that when it happened was that July 15th, and what happened by what happened by September? Well, one, they were starting to cut those rates. So that's one. We started the cutting back in around September, right? But we're noticing that big upside here. Well, the market during that time saw some big downside there. So that went on for a little bit of time. Can that happen again? Yes. Where do I think it's going to head to? Well, I actually think this 200 is catching up to our zone. So I'm very interested how we would react in this zone right now. So if we end up in here sometime maybe in March, like end of March, maybe we end up down in these levels, I think this would be super interesting. I think this would be a good corrective move. And really, if we wanted to build this over time, it would actually be nice to not cross through right here. It actually would be nice to drop off, see that build back up to there, scare people, and then end up going up for a long period of time. I would really like this kind of look to keep going to the upside. Obviously, the downside, the way that you head down is you see that big move down, you get that reaction to retest, you can't make it all the way back up to here, you just retest somewhere in these levels, and then you actually fall again. So we'll be watching for it. But yeah, I think there's just some, this is a bullish break, but it's really like the bad things are starting to pile up, and I think people are starting to shift to recession, which is actually when you want to be a little more on guard. We'll see if that continues. Well, the only thing is Monday we're not open, so they can keep this going, right? We're on light volume next week. Yeah, we're seeing some interesting stuff, but I think next week we do have a light trading week, so we'll see. Do stocks typically blow past the monthly expected move? No, they do not. Monitoring Meta and Apple could be good short opportunities. Yeah, they don't normally. You want to pay attention to why they are making that move, right? If it was in earnings, like Apple once, if you pull up Apple a long time ago, I think it was all the way down in here. Yeah, this was the last time we actually said like, hey, this earnings play actually has a golden setup behind it. So Apple during this time, you notice this was April going into May. So you made a monthly expected move somewhere up in these levels and you literally gapped above it and you held it, see the retest, and then you ended up going higher throughout that pretty much entire month of May. So you see how you can make those big things, but usually it's off of big news. So would I consider right now to be big news? Actually, yes. I think you could see this squeeze further just because people are overall possibly celebrating the yields coming down. And I think that's what we need to be watching for here. That would be a big sign that this could be a major top, by the way. If we start to just see it turn down right now, we see people start to price in recession, like that's when you actually, could see a bigger downturn. And then you want to see like, oh, okay, was it able to create a reversal signal, right? We still want to be open to those, but monthly expected moves, yeah, you can make moves out of them. It's more just like, okay, if we look at Apple again, and we say, okay, we went up and up and up and up into June. Remember this, and in June you saw up and up and up. So you did it twice, and then towards July. Early on in July, you were actually here this time, right? This time we weren't riding that earnings wave. We were still riding it one more time, but this time you most likely ran into that monthly expected move and something bad happened. So it's more the context, right? If earnings is around, you have to understand that those moves can get violated very quickly. But when there's no earnings, it holds as resistance, right? 236.36 has always been our level to watch. So then it drops dramatically. We see monthly expected move here. What do? We close back in it, right? So we'll see what happens with it. But for the time being, we just really want to pay attention if something goes wrong. And I think that's it, right? We're paying attention to the management of risk. Right now, this says bullish, bullish, bullish. So I should have technically bullish trades right now. Right? That's why I had to get rid of my bearish ones. Once I see that breakout for the 2 hour, I just go, okay, we took out that high. I can be patient. Palantir, a lot of people mentioning Palantir. Palantir popping off originally, right? But remember, this is one I'm really worried about. This 30-minute here, it's not able to confirm up again. You start to lose the 5. You could see a mean 2 hour pullback. Right, gold actually starting to drop off as well. Look at the triple divergence from gold right now. If we pull up the futures, you're going to see this very clearly. On the 2 hour chart right in front of you, right here, it should pop up in a moment. There you go. You see that 2 hour divergence holding all the way across all of this. Now that can continue, right? I still think this potentially gets to 3,000. I just think it might need a pullback soon, or it just reaches up to 3,000 and traps people. But the 4 hour chart, you can see all the divergence lurking here. So what do you think this means for the dollar, right? The dollar's coming down. It might be about to shift up. That's what I would say. That's what this is telling me. This is saying, hey, well, if we look at that correlation, we'd say the dollar goes down, it's good for gold. Well, the dollar's going down, and it's been pretty good for gold right now. But gold has gone up while the dollar's gone up. So who's kind of lying here? And I think the dollar might catch some ground. I think that might catch some ground soon. I did notice that GME price action pretty damn good. Remember, crazy things happen outside of weekly expected moves, and you gapped up. This is like the best case scenario for GME. I did check this morning for GME to look at the short sale volume, and you'll notice something very interesting, which is it did not tick up. So that was not someone covering their short position at this moment. That most likely was just a buy. Okay, just to keep it clear, this did not tick up, so that's most likely just a buy. All right, we'll see if that changes today, right? We'll see if that changes today, but as of right now, we would just read into that as, hey, this is potentially just a buyer, right? AMC, great stuff, making a move outside of the unexpected area, right? This is where it's expected to get to, but we're kind of holding above it. That's great. 30-minute can keep curling up, you're happy, right? Once that 30-minute curls up anywhere towards these areas, you got to treat it like, hey, the big moment can happen, because once that 30-minute does turn up, and if that moment does happen, ooh, this thing could really take off, and the 30-minute most likely won't look back, and you're just going to see that thing keep going higher. The dollar as of right now, and thank you for bringing up AMC, we're going to update this level for next week. Very important to start updating this. As more trades come in, we're going to see bigger implied volatility, which means this could be all the way up to $4 next week. And what if we get there and then we see resistance? So we'll be updating that on Sunday. As far as the dollar goes at this moment, I don't think you have great reversal signals. The only thing you have here are extremely oversold conditions, and we're about to hit our 106.49 level. Okay, that's all you got going on here. You do not see any real divergences on the 2-hour. You don't see it on the 30-minute even. You don't see anything from the daily right now. This is breaking down to retest the breakout area. It could dip a little bit lower. It could go all the way down into these wicks at 105.65, but I'm going to be paying attention to 106.49. I think a tag of that level would be good. And then I think we're going to see something pop off here. And that's why I still want to be watching volatility very closely. This is going to be the best signal to watch today. This 30-minute divergence on volatility will be fantastic. So that's good. All right, I can watch this. It's a very simple thing right now. Hey, are we going to make some kind of base out of this 30-minute? And then I'm hoping, hey, is that just a pullback, you know, for the market, and then this breaks down over time, right? Or is this going to turn up the 2-hour? And if that 2-hour does turn up, ooh, that's going to be a problem. But that means you're going to need this. You're going to need a lot of upward pressure here for volatility. So we'll see what happens. Yeah, I think volatility in the dollar, two things that are great to pay attention to. I just think volatility is a little bit cleaner. Wolfy boy approaching. There you go, Wolfy boy trying to break out, and look at the potential for, I would even call this double bottom, but it's a slightly higher low. Fantastic look. Wolfy boy, right? We shouted Wolfy boy out like last week. So we were like, hey, if this can hold at these levels, fill that gap, we'll see what happens. Bam! Now you got the confirmation, that's great. That means that this is on. This means that this might be breaking. Now, here's the thing, if I'm reading into AMC and GME, I'm going, wow, this looks like it wants to break out. I'm going, wow, FFIE looks like it's doing some good stuff. I'm going, wow, what's cost doing, right? Maybe I need to go look over at cost. That's starting to slightly tick up. Interesting there. Okay. What's happened with Palantir? Supposedly a short sold stock. Okay. And then we just go, alrighty. So a lot of things. Mara, you can even look at Mara for this and look at that reversal signal for Mara. I want to see if that's on the RSI. Very flat, if not slightly down on the RSI, so not the best, but this says, hey, we could see something good here. What's Bitcoin doing? Well, Bitcoin's just trying to curl up this daily chart. If Bitcoin can curl up that daily chart, hey, this thing has been building. Look at all the wicks in there, so much pressure, and boom to the upside can take place. We could have a full, big, measured move. I think we violated the cup and handle, but this could still turn up as a higher low, right, with the wicks, and then take out this high, go make a new one. This curling up is how I think Bitcoin gets to like 112K, right? 112, 116K is kind of what I'm looking at right now for that extended move. And then we have to see what happens from there. Because if we make a simple little divergence, like if it's quick, if it just goes like this and then falls, I'm a little bit worried about it. But for now, it looks like positivity can come if we just cross some things up. As of this moment, we have everyone going into calls. Everyone going into calls again. The CPC actually last night coming in at 0.95, so very interesting, but the PCC coming in as of right now at 0.64. So this will be a time to really be watching what's going on here. Even though it looks good from HYG, it looks good from HGX, right? This looks like it's about to turn around. XLU starting to see that tick up, the SPY holding positive, dollar drop. Everything looks pretty good here. It's just people seem to be baited in, and I want to be aware of, hey, we are heading into a time where recession is like 100% possible. Even though they're telling you it's not, it is definitely possible in 2025. So I would really be watching for why we go into recession, how markets behave when we're about to go into recession. And it's, hey, the bond trader, the bond people, they see it first, they drop those rates, starting to price in that recession, but people celebrate it because they're still focused on inflation. Yeah, see, Dave's kind of got it for me actually here. Recession is around the corner, which is why TNX dropping. Market initially will rally on that, but then top and start pricing in recession very soon, which is why I'm calling for a final rally here. And I think, Dave, I think that's a good thing to pay attention to. We just have to realize that could be done now. Like, that reaction from the yields dropping has already happened. Now that can take place for even a couple of weeks, right? We could see 2 more weeks of positivity here with it, I think. But I think we might only have a couple of weeks left. So I think that we need to be watching right now. I mean, volatility, so pretty much this. Now we know that reaction is there. So anytime we see a reversal signal, we have to be prepared that that could come with some bigger volatility. Right? So this is what I want to be watching right now, because this is a way that volatility comes back in. That's it. If you pay attention to these little moments and they just go away, awesome, bullish again. If you pay attention to these moments and they start to pop off, awesome, we were aware of it. And that's it. It's very nice. What's volume like this morning? That volume at the end of the day yesterday was kind of crazy. I'm thinking a week or two. I think maximum this could last is 2 weeks, unless you see pullbacks and stuff, but we'll find out. All right, let me look at my other charts for just a moment here. Oh yeah, buyers are still buying. Yeah, you're not wrong about that. I'm not saying this is not a bullish thing. This all looks bullish. I'm just making you aware of the bad things that are lurking. I don't mean, you know, and when I mention bad things that are lurking, it doesn't mean that the trade still isn't a bullish one right now, right? I'm not saying, oh, I can't take bullish trades, right? We said that last night. It's not saying that. It's saying, hey, yeah, this is a bullish move, but there's some bearish things in the background, so just pay attention if something goes wrong, okay? All right, good, look within. I just want to make sure we're on the same page, you know what I mean? Okay, awesome. I'm sorry, like that video last night, I filmed it twice because I was like, I really wanted to try to get my point across, but I kind of was all putting it together towards the end of the day, towards when I was about to film. So I was just like, okay, let me figure out how to state this in a way that people are going to understand at least enough to be like, okay, that is a risk. Most earnings growth is being projected as small caps. If small caps don't follow through, no part of the market will be reporting growth. Well, and yeah, and small caps are weird. Small caps can be really funky because you notice that small caps have been beaten up for a long time. At least they were. A lot of names have been beaten up. So it's very strange, but you notice that small caps are not in a spot where they're most likely going to see something massive, right? When I say something massive, I mean, if you would have said from here that we were going to go down to potentially test like extremely low levels, maybe go down to 200 again, you'd have been like, wow, that's a 19% drop. But for the time being, I would be more fearful of the SPY and the Qs. Yes, small caps can drop more, but the yields will come down, so I'm expecting them to potentially even hold up better, actually. I think they might hold up better. Now, they still are at risk. They're small caps. They still can move 8%, 10% down or something like that. But if you look at this compared to the SPY, you're like, okay, well, this is actually at all-time highs. It hasn't had a 10% dip down or anything like that. So if we do fall from here, we could have that 10% pretty quickly. We could even drop lower to get actually past that 10%. So that's all I'm worried about at this moment. I'm hoping it's a bumpy ride, though. I'm hoping volatility bounces back and forth, right? Because that'd be great for trades. I did post them this morning. Yes, I forgot to post them last night because I was really focused on the video. But yes, those calculations are from last night. They should be up on Patreon now. Sorry about that. No, we periodically, you know, someone will ask about the DAX. We look at it. I'm worried about the DAX too. I think that this is a dramatic upward move. Do I think that this is going to end really, really badly right now? I would probably say no. I would most likely say no. I would most likely be leaning towards, hey, some kind of bigger pullback, fill a gap, then turn back up. Or we pull down to deeper levels and you see the lower high come in. right? And you kind of do a mini head and shoulders in here. The way to assess DAX right now is literally just like, okay, it's really freaking high up. So if I'm an investor, I'm happy with it. But am I happy with it because my money value is good? Well, that money value could change pretty quickly. You are noticing that the monthly chart is what? It's at the highest point it's ever been. Like, you ever want like to realize like, hey, I wonder if this is a good, I wonder if I invested at the right levels. I wonder if I invested at the right levels. I wonder if I invested at the right levels. This was the last time that this investment took place, right? Right in here. Okay, awesome. And then it goes up like this, and you want to know like, hey, when am I doing good? Is my investment doing good? Like, maybe I want to actually keep that money at this point. Well, it's probably when the MACD is at absolute all-time highs, higher than it's ever been. Even though there's no divergence, I would just be like, okay, this is a little bit much at this point. Right, it's kind of like these runs in here, right? These runs in here, you saw that get dramatically overbought. You saw it reach that high point, which whenever the DAX hit that high point, it was most of the time a bad thing would happen, right? We see that. So it's kind of like this, but you're higher than that, right? If you just take this simple rule and be like, hey, this is the highest up the MACD goes, and then we usually run into bad things. Okay, that would encourage me to maybe take profit here, and look what happens. I think you have one of those moments right now for the DAX. That's what I think. And the SPY's in the same spot. Except the bad part about the SPY compared to the DAX, why the DAX actually might hold up better. I know it might suffer a lot, but it might be quick. The reason that the SPY could be worse is still because you are holding that divergence point on the RSI. I know that you violated this one. You're going, oh, I want to invest at the point where the MACD is at the highest. Well, when do we invest? Well, when the MACD is lower. So this is just the opposite end of that, and you're probably about to see something like this. That's it. All right, if we think very simply, we go, hey, we saw a big run, and then we saw something a little bit bad for a while to correct. Okay, we're seeing a big run. If it wants to continue, it still might have to correct in some way to turn back up later. Right? I mean, this most likely will actually. I think this would look pretty good. Remember we were talking about that 2026 play? I think we might have that play soon. I really do. I genuinely think that this is, you know, one strong move with a dip, two strong moves with a dip, and I think we might go for the third one. I mean, this market's the greediest thing ever. The U.S. markets are the greediest thing on the planet. So why would I assume that this is going to be bad right now? Why don't I just say, hey, what if that's a correction and we go for that third push? Because that would be the one, the two, the third one higher, and then you actually collapse, right? So see how we can kind of read into things and go, okay, so let's just be open to correction because this market is really freaking greedy. I mean, look at it. You think this market ain't greedy? Right after, you know, thank you to 2008, I guess, because once they pumped money from 2008, we never looked back, man. But I'm just saying, I think this market's greedy and we could do that next one. If we could go into correction mode for a few months, I think that would be very interesting. Yeah, we can try to put those up. I just got to screenshot them again if you want those. I'll even put the ones for IWM and DIA out there if you'd like them. Go. Let me just, I got to change something real quick here. $613.33 looks right. What is going on at the bottom of my screen there? That's weird. Okay, let me move it up so you can see. There you go. There's a bunch of levels for you to watch today. That's a 10th grader. Hey, it's true though, but here's the thing. At least now you know. Now what can you control, right? You can't control that you didn't know those things back in 10th grade. No, but you know them now. So now every decision here going forward is all in your power, right? You have all the power in the world. And all you have to do very simply is figure out when to buy and figure out where to sell. Either way, if we go up or down as an investor, I'd be thrilled just to see something big. And I think that's true. But the higher you go, the less explosive the move. I know that's crazy. The move can explode for shorter periods of time. Time of day do you get your options data for the daily move calculations? Usually I do it an hour after close. Anything 30 minutes after close is good, but it still will slightly be adjusting. So I like to do hour close, and no matter what the price of the stock is, like in the post market, I'm not using that for the calculation. I'm still using the closing at 3 o'clock for me. But so if this at 6:10:48 at 3 o'clock and it stays there, okay, then I'm using 6:10:48. Right? Even if it's at 6:11:48, I'm just going to let the implied volatility keep doing its thing. And then at 4 o'clock, it usually stays stationary. So I usually wait an hour to calculate my moves. Sundays, weekly ranges are easy. You just wake up on Sunday morning and do it. Yeah. Yeah, now like even with Bitcoin, like people are all obsessed with Bitcoin at 100K. Nobody ever talks about it when it's at like super low levels, right? Everyone's super bad about it. Everyone's negative about it. It's like, all right, everyone was negative about it. But I mean, at the end of the day, pretty clearly what happened. It went down to the center line and then it curled up for the swing trade. Right? This is where I feel like an idiot, right? I knew all this stuff. I know all this stuff, and I still was just trading the regular market, and I go, man, I could have not traded the market, or at least traded it half as much, invested in Bitcoin at the good breakout above this resistance in here. We see that breakout moment. I could have bought in this at any time, but if I see that break, this is the one that I really like. And then we could see, ooh, okay, if I just hold that till now, that's 184%, right? That would be a very good investment for over about a year and a half. Right, notice that's just a monthly curl up and it's about a year and a half, right? 12 to 24 months, and you got yourself some good stuff. And I tell you what, I'd be probably like, hey, I hit 100K, I'm pretty solid here, right? So you see how investing can still make you great money over time, a lot safer. I mean, especially even with Bitcoin. People think Bitcoin's really, really rough and really terrible to do anything with. It's like, well, just wait for the good confirmations and you're good, right? We curled up right here. Right? We curled up right here on a negative bar, not a good crossing, not a good crossing, below the 9, not a good crossing. Then we see this, that's go time. Right in here, you're seeing this cross up, right? You're like, okay, this is the trigger, and you might have been right. It's just it needed to pull back and build those buyers up, and then it crossed up into positive territory. This was a good decision. This was a good decision. This one might have made you wait. This was a great decision as you break through that wick. This is the best decision, I think. And then you see that upward move. Like, that's the stuff that I really want to be doing, so I'll be paying more attention to that in the near future. Once we experience something bad, I'll be paying attention to Bitcoin and all kinds of stuff. I still think Bitcoin could rip higher right now. That's the crazy part. Isn't that crazy? I just said all that and I go, but I still think it could rip higher. Mexico to sue Google over renaming the Gulf of Mexico on its platform. I mean, okay. Like, okay. If a company wants to call an area of the world something else, I think that's perfectly fine. I don't see the problem. I don't see the lawsuit. Like, what are they losing by calling it the Gulf of America? Like, what is affecting Mexico? You know, like, a lawsuit means something bad has happened. Like, you are doing something and it's affecting me, right? And when it comes to business or government, it should be affecting people, or it should be affecting people's lives. It should be affecting money in some way. Did we take money away from them? Oh, I'm married to a Latina woman. My mother-in-law is literally a legal immigrant. So And the way they talk about things, and I hear like, Americans, or, no offense, but mostly little white women, they they say things and I'm just like, that's not how legal immigrants feel at all. I'm like, I know, because I have one right next to me all the time. Yeah, we can look at GME again. Because they think only part of America should have been renamed. I just don't care. Like at the end of it all, like let's just be honest here, Willow. I just don't care. You could call it the pool. You could call it like the pool of tacos. I don't give a shit. I just don't care. It's a body of water. Name it whatever you want to name it. I don't think it's important at all. Like, you know what is important? The actual corruption that is being found out. Like, you have one? Oh, well, that's, I guess, yeah, that was kind of a bad way to put it. You could call it Fat America Pool. I don't care. I mean, the thing is, though, I wonder if we piled up the fat, because we're the fattest country, let's just be real, right? So if we pile up all of our fatties, we put them on a high dive board, and we have them all jump into the Gulf of America, would there be any water left in that pool? That's all I'm saying. AMD, yeah, let's go look at AMD real quick. AMD, see, this is where it's rough, because you haven't seen, like, ultimately you're getting moments of good buying pressure, but you still keep remaining at lower levels. You really want a breakout moment here. Now, this might be curling up, right? The daily scale is curling up as of today. This is confirmation of divergence. This means AMD can get running. Right? That's what this is saying. So if that completes, it would say that is very likely to continue. It means little pullbacks can happen, right? Little 30-minute pullbacks, little 2-hour pullback. So if this isn't going to do any more positivity and you start to see negativity in the 30-minute turns, you got to be aware of the divergence at the highs, right? But that could just be a 2-hour pullback before this actually wants to gear up and go, right? I think something very good for AMD would be a higher low, or that divergence could still form, right? We're still seeing this. Maybe it does this real quick and then bounces off, right? That would be fantastic. Any kind of dip into this zone I would actually really like. We left a gap behind. I mean, there's a lot of good things that can happen here. But it would just go, for an investment, I have a bunch of daily divergence. And this would be daily divergence. So if I treat this as an investment and say, hey, this might go up to, 140 to go up towards this gap, towards 139, 140. Okay, awesome. I mean, that would still be a solid run. It might take time to get there, right? But that'd be a 22% run. That's not bad. That's daily divergence. This means like, hey, this could potentially be a good weekly investment. As I look at investments right now, I still want to pay attention to the state of the market. Remember, just because I'm looking at AMD and it's down here, I'm still making a decision to buy or invest possibly into a stock when the market is showing all of the things up here that look like it could do this. So what do you think AMD will do if the market does this part? Well, AMD probably goes like this. Now, that's not a bad thing. If you're investing, you could, scale into lower price. I'm just saying this is still at $114. This still could head down to 92. This still could head down to, I would actually like this level, 74. I actually really like 74, I think. Let me look across. Yeah, 74 looks pretty nice. If not 97.50, because you see that little lower thing here. But for AMD, I would just be like, hey, this is showing me investment signals. If I'm following the signals, that's great. But just be aware of the state of the market and realize like, hey, I might need to manage risk at some point. Meaning the daily scale might turn up, but if this 2-hour does turn down soon, I need to be more worried about it, right? This is why I'm saying the buying pressure here does matter. It matters because this being where it's at, if that just goes like this, that daily signal's gone. If this would see that 2-hour explosion or build up to this level right here, and then we see that little pullback, that's a lot different because now your 2-hour might be up here, right? You're not as scared of that 2-hour pullback. So I think you're in a vulnerable spot right now, but it might be the time to maybe make a decision and just pay attention if something goes wrong. How would you manage a trade that gets hit by a flash crash? It depends on the flash crash and how the flash crash behaved. All right, what did the stock look like before? Did it have those signals? Did it just flash crash out of nowhere? Did it do it because of earnings? Was I doing an earnings play? There's a lot, Marco. But flash crashes are unfortunate, and that's why in this market you have to be reacting very, very quickly. I mean, the technical flash crashes that we've gotten for the SPY, well, technically it's still crossed down at resistance. You're looking for that to confirm back to the upside. So technically this is like, hey, the trade might be done with the higher low, trade might be done, and then you're looking for, hey, if this pulls back at some point, right, we're running into resistance, great little take profit, build up and curl up, that'd be great. So why would I hang on to stuff in here when I could just make money on here, leave runners if I want, and then add that in later if that curls back up? Well, that way I only lost money with the gap down on the runners, right, if that's the case. That's it. I mean, the lucky part about right here was we got divergence, right? That's why we were very obviously looking at that. We ran into those weekly and monthly expected move for January was up in these levels. And that's why we were like, this is pretty obvious. This one I don't think was as obvious. All you're looking for is, hey, I want this to hold good structure. We're going into some pretty good resistance. I definitely need to take profit there, right? That's how I want to treat those serious resistances. 10-year was way up and market was way up. Well, that's the thing is, like, everyone's surprised by this, but this has been taking place for a long time. You guys, this has been taking in place forever. The market's been up while the 10-year has been up since we started in September cutting. The market has been up. I mean, let's like flip back and forth here on a 30-minute or on a daily chart and really look. Okay, where was September? You know, like, where was September? That was August. So September was in here. You notice that from this point, from these points in here, well, the 10-year has been going up and this has been going up at the same time. Now, in your head, why could that make sense? Well, if we're fighting inflation, but inflation is still there, then technically the price of assets should inflate. Right? It all, you can make sense of it, right? So what's going to tear this market down? Well, there's kind of two things. Do we dramatically fight inflation? We're not going to do that. They're not going to raise rates. They're not going to raise rates. But even if they did raise rates and we saw inflation go crazy, that might just be a pullback that then turns back up, because inflation means your assets are inflating until, like, it actually affects profits, affects margins. But they're always staying ahead of inflation. That's what smart companies do. It's bad for the consumer, but that's what smart companies do. If inflation grows by 2%, they're going to they're going to increase their price by 2.5 or 3%. Right? So they're going to stay ahead of it. It's once they can't really stay ahead of it, once the consumer says, I'm tapped out, I can't do it, what ultimately brings markets down? Recession. And recession is a what? Deflationary event. So do you think you need to fight inflation during a deflationary event? No. No. You don't need to. The consumer is going to do it for you, right? The actual economy is going to do it for you. The layoffs are going to do it for you. Everything else is going to work for you, right? And then you'll see prices drop, but people will celebrate it initially, and I think we're getting that celebration right now. I actually saw a title. I didn't watch the video, but I did see a title of someone that some of you guys have brought up a few times. I just want to see what his title was, because I think it was, I saw it this morning, and I was like, yeah, that's pretty much, yeah, I always forget. I don't know, I have to type this in, I think, to find it. I don't know if I'm subbed. This is it. Market bottoms on bad news, high inflation, reciprocal tariffs, but celebrates the start of the tariffs are being delayed. And then we also see that the yield dropped off very dramatically. Like, we actually did bottom on bad news. We actually did. And I think Ron Walker's actually right to point it out this time. Now, I haven't watched the video. I don't know what he says in there. But based on that title, I'd say he's paying attention to the right things. Maybe I need to watch that. I don't know. I feel like he's not the most helpful sometimes. But he's pretty good with macro. Triple top, third time we were at this level. Stock market closed Monday, something on the horizon. Well, one thing you need to consider here is we knocked on the door once, you knocked on the door twice, you might have knocked on the door 3 times, and you're seeing another move up, okay? It's kind of like, if I take an axe to a door, I hit it once, I can't break through. I hit it twice, I can't break through. I hit it 3 times, I can't break through, but I almost do. And then I hit it that 4th time, and this is the time where it's like, hey, either I break through and I get through that door, or I don't break through, I'm not able to get through the door, and I give up. Right? I want to poke my little head through that door and go, here's Johnny, or whatever the hell it is. And then we head to the upside. I think that would be fantastic. I think it would trick a lot of people, and you get people very bullish very quickly, because the yields are coming down and the dollar's coming down too. But if this is, we can't break through, and that's going to get bad right away, I do still want to be aware of that. Yeah, what is it? Where's Johnny? Here's Johnny? I don't know. I watched that at the only time I ever saw that movie was actually at a drive-in when I was in like high school. Here's Johnny? Where's Johnny? I don't know what it is. I can't remember. I saw that so many years ago. Creepy ass movie though. I'm not gonna lie. Whenever I see my daughter and like we put her in a nice cute little dress or something, she's riding her bike around, I kind of have some flashbacks to that moment. Wise Johnny. Yes. Why Johnny? Give up. Tough and Tough's like, stop it. Serve took a huge hit as nvida exited its holdings. Do we go higher from here today? The signals would suggest higher from here makes the most sense. But will it go higher all day? Will it go higher till we hit a weekly expected move or a daily expected move? Will we set a trap right away outside of that move? We'll see. People are very, very bullish going into the end of the week here. I will pull up some data. Why don't I go pull up some data? Top of the morning to you. Let's see, 610 still an important wall. 620 the big one. 600 the big put level to start at. 590 the biggest put level to start at. So they definitely don't want to pay out the 620s. That's for sure. They might not even want to pay out the 610s. And then they might just shoot this thing down to something like 605 at the end of the day. I think that would be a very good little scenario, but we'll see. Having fun today. Who's having fun? It's Friday. Look at volatility. Yeah, I need to do this. I need to get this stuff straightened out real quick. Sorry, guys. Give me a moment here. All right, that's good. 30-minute. Yes, okay, volatility, this is on a 2-hour, 30-minute. See, volatility breaking down. So now the signal's starting to go away, so this adds even more credibility to bullishness coming in, and mainly I'll just leave this on a 2-hour and say, okay, if that confirms up, that's the only thing holding the divergence at this point. Sofi still moving? Yeah, Sofi, good stuff. I mean, this is how you want it to behave, too. You want it to get that reaction to this level, get that dip down, test the 5, and turn back up. This is all great stuff from Sofi. It even gave you the divergence at the low, right? So that's great. 2-hour, you see that divergence there as well. So once this confirmed up, you go, okay, this is very likely to curl up the daily chart. You go, okay, that's my trigger right on these bars here. Technically, I guess your trigger wouldn't be until you take back the 9. So this bar or this bar. But this bar here said, yeah, we're going to try to produce that. Hey, it produced. Now look for those little retests intraday. Yeah, I think a retest here would be great. But, you know, this thing's taken off. It's going, it's going, it's going. Is it? Ooh, we're about to see that daily turn up too. Sofi might go for a run here, dude. That's a higher low. right? You have a low, you have a high, you have a higher low. Uh-oh, what do you think you're gonna make? Well, it's a little bit negative, so I'd be aware of a lower high, but I'd say if you can get past 1650, you're pretty set on like, hey, we're gonna fill that gap at $18. Bank's doing all right. Financial sector is still holding up. This is one thing I'm still worried about, but that 2-hour next move higher could be there, right? Now this could get interesting, right? If this falls. This could get interesting if it does this and falls, right? But it tells you, even this weekend, I don't think you're terribly safe. I'm gonna turn into a mode here that's like, hey, I'm not holding things over the weekend, unless I'm very confident in my play. What did JP Morgan end up doing? Okay, yeah, okay. So this is the 2-hour move. Now you have that divergence point. This might be the last trap for JP Morgan. Might be the last trap for JP Morgan. We'll see if it can extend. You said it was what, 61.59? So most likely we try to get there. What's the daily expected move for the SPX? It's on my screen there. 61.51, so it makes sense to go there today. Trapping bears. Bears were already trapped here. Yeah, the trap's already taken place for the bear side. This is the formation of most likely a bull trap, which means it's a bullish run, right? It's not saying it's a bull. It doesn't have to be a bull trap now, but it looks like we're going to form that now. So this should produce some more positivity, right? If it's a bull trap at any moment, though, if that just curls down, you could say there's high potential for this to be a bull trap. So you just want to be aware of something bad happening, and that's it, right? This is still very bullish. Very, very bullish. Let's see here. Put any way into the AAII survey level. Well, yeah, that can, I mean, the market's good. Yeah, that's true, Greg. What I'd say about those surveys is they're great. Like, that's fine. A lot of the time it's a contrarian indication. I get it, right? But where is that taking place? Like, what's the last date that you get data from the AAI survey? Because right now I'm assuming it's showing people are probably pretty bearish. But usually when I look at it, it's a couple days behind. Maybe I have to pay to get the right things. I only check on that probably like at key times maybe, but I don't check it very often. Because I'm just looking at, CPC and I'm looking at PCC. So yeah, people were very bearish on the 12th and 13th, right? They started to go to the bear side on the 12th and 13th. Okay, so there's the 13th, there's the 11th. You would say 11th, 13th. Okay, maybe that added some value there. But is it enough to really say like, oh, this could be a big dramatic downturn or this could be a big squeeze? I don't think it's enough to be a big squeeze. I think it could be a short-term squeeze during a light volume week for sure. Comes out on Thursday, pull is done that Tuesday. I'm actually going to write that down. I'm actually going to write that down. Because if I write it down, I'm more likely to remember. Thursday and poll is done Tuesdays. Okay, that actually helps me understand it a lot more, so thank you for that. Appreciate it, Mr. Pickle. As I put it, yeah, I was just kind of like looking at it, and I've had that feeling for a long time. But it's just like, Big dip down. Yeah, it was a little crazier. Big move up. Another big dip down. And then you make that next move up, and then you set the final trap. And that's what I'm talking about now. I think we could be in this moment right here. I think we could be in that. Big dip down, a little bit of confusion, big move up, big dip down, a little bit deeper this time. Then we see that explosion. And that's why I think, but this is kind of what I'm getting at. This didn't go test these lows this time around. So this move could be a lot more lackluster than you think. I think we might be, but I'm not expecting it to be exactly the same. I don't know why I'm doing this when I could just reset the chart. I don't think it has to be exactly the same. It's obviously not the same, right? We've built up to this. But I'm just stating I'm going to be very aware because it looks decently similar to me. Which equities have quarterly reports out or not? Not necessarily. You'll see. I think you'll see more from signals in general. Like, the thing is, every time someone brings something like that up, I'm just like, how does that help my trade? I might pay attention to it, but I'm not going to utilize it as much for an actual trade. I'll keep it in my mind as a thing to keep in mind, right? Just like the dollar dropping, just like the 10-year yield dropping right now, right? That we're reading into it. We could be totally wrong, but we're trying to read into it. So that's why I'm not going to utilize it for a trade. Because if I utilize the 10-year yield dropping and the dollar dropping, and I come to the conclusion of, hey, we're most likely dropping due to the fact that we might be pricing in recession now, and people are reacting well because they're seeing those yields come down, actually, so we're not pricing it into the actual SPY and the Qs yet, that would be a bullish thing, but you see how that would get me bearish, bearish, bearish. At the end of the day, I want to pay attention to the signals. This is a bullish break, right? This is a bullish break. Now, do I want to be taking calls here? Well, for one last run, depends on how much I want to trade. I don't really need to trade that much right now. I'm okay. Like, I can wait. What are your thoughts on Tesla for the day in terms of direction? Well, as of right now, it should be, this is what you want to be watching. So something that has helped me a lot is when I see a move, and I'm not saying I'm not like excited about this or something like that. I'm just saying when I see a move, if I think it looks fishy by any means, first of all, this is a great place to get that cup to, right? We broke down from that level. This is a breakdown area. We get there, we create that cup, we get that handle. Could we need a deeper handle to then produce that upside? Do we need a deeper handle to go like this? You know, that's what I'm thinking initially. And the reason that I'm thinking that initially is because I see this. And so if I see this, that shows that the momentum could be slowing as we react to 357.78. Now, why am I looking for that? Because I know that there's not a strong 2-hour base. So if the 2-hour is going to create a strong base, wouldn't that be a great way to do it? Show some kind of weakness from the 30-minute and then pull back in some way and not confirm this down, right? Don't go make that divergence, but just see that 30-minute curl down deeper. So right now I'm watching this because you have very obvious, maybe even 15-minute divergence. Very, very obvious. Yeah. So 15-minute divergence, hey, that means the 30-minute could pull back deeper. That's what Tesla is saying at this moment. So if I'm paying attention to these signals right here, I would put some credibility to lower prices for the time being, maybe to fill a gap. Right? Unless this 15-minute just goes bloop, right? That would be the management of the trade. If I'm trying to take a bearish trade, I'm going, okay, that's my confirmation. I'm ready to go. So then the thing that makes me feel good is the 30-minute turns down. All right, that's still positive, so most likely a higher low. But if the 15-minute were to rotate back up, I'd be out of the play, right? I don't want to lose money. Not in the management of the trade, you really want to be like, okay, I know I'm going to potentially, some of the time you will lose, right? That's what management of the trade is. You realize something is going wrong, and it's supposed to make you lose a little bit of money, not a lot of money, right? And that will happen. You will have to make those decisions. And the earlier or the quicker you make those decisions, sometimes the better off you'll be. So that's all I'm saying here for Tesla. I think that Tesla, as the 2-hour is even crossed up, as the 30-minute is positive, I think Tesla might actually back off here. But I haven't seen the 30-minute confirm that just yet. All I have are 15-minute divergences showing me the weakness. But then I go, and this is where you add credibility to your trade. Okay, well, what's the SPY doing? Well, the SPY's dramatically up and really up on this 15-minute. And is the volume getting better, worse? Oh, it's getting worse. So something could be around the corner. That's interesting. Volatility itself showing me that 2-hour signal. So that would make sense, right? This is actually showing to create that base in some way, right? A little bit down on the RSI, almost flat, but a little bit down. So I don't want to read into that as divergence, but if that 2-hour can turn up, then that would mean volatility kicks in. The SPY is kind of in a vulnerable spot, needing at least a pullback. And then Tesla is showing me 15-minute divergence right now. So what would I say? I would say Tesla most likely sees a lower price than I would say. I would say it's probably going to take out this low of about 349. I think Tesla will be most likely, according to the signals, below 349 at some point today. That's all I can read into. But really, that's all the info I need. Like, if I wanted to potentially even take a trade with this, it's like, okay, I got the trigger. Okay, see if it makes a move down below here. Anything at below 349 is a take profit, maybe even a take profit down here. I don't think it'll be bearish forever. I think this could work itself out pretty quick. I was just thinking about recession yesterday. Thanks for touching on it. Yeah, you have signals that suggest that we could be seeing that rotation from the 10-year, that we could actually be seeing recession scares soon. I think that's a big hint. You were about to confirm that up, and you see how they didn't want to confirm that up. That probably would have broke something. That probably would have broke something. So it's a well-timed thing. Unemployment numbers about to skyrocket. Just wait till the next reading. Awesome smiling instant camera. Appreciate you being here. Sorry, I had to stretch. What was the other one? Someone was just asking about nvida, maybe. nvida we haven't looked at today, so let's go look at it. Again, another little 15-minute warning sign. I don't think it's something that's crazy bad, though. Like, this does not look awful. Why? Well, it's different from AMD, this right here. Right? We saw the explosive move. Now you're just looking at pullbacks. And now you have that 15-minute. Okay, let's go into a 30. Well, if that 30-minute rotates down, what do you have? Divergence. Very, very simple. Very simple. So that can roll over a 2-hour. Let's look at the 2-hour. All right, 2 hours up there. A little flat divergence on the RSI. Oh, we got divergence on the MACD as well. So if the 2-hour drops, the daily could drop. I think that's less likely. I think you're likely to see this try to carve out a higher low. But another one showing reversal signals. Tesla showing, they're little ones though. They're just little ones. So I don't think I need to react just yet, right? It's just something to be aware of. Something to be aware of. Back at ya. Yeah, well, remember how everyone was talking about the jobs numbers are great, the jobs numbers are great, the jobs number great? I just want you guys to remember, and this just popped into my brain, I just want you to remember what percentage of those jobs were government jobs. Do you remember when that whole month they hired like tons and tons of people for the IRS? And that really pumped the numbers, and people were like, wow, this labor, and then Jerome Powell's like, see, the labor market has remained strong and steady throughout all of this, because we're using money that doesn't exist, that we don't have to pay IRS people. It's like, dude, even the GDP is government spending. So I like that, Mr. Pickle. I like that you're aware of the trend. Like, you're obviously, it seems like, trading the trend, which I love. I think that's great. You're just like, hey, I buy things on dips and it keeps going up. I mean, yeah, that's pretty much the market. But I like that you're also aware, like, I don't even want to say like hypocritical, I guess ironic. They're like telling you the labor market is super strong, but the only reason that the labor market is really strong is because they're using like pretty much at this point ghost money to do it. It's just crazy. So once you see them get into the IRS and stuff like that, oof, those jobs numbers are going to start looking pretty bad. That's what I think. But I mean, that could take a lot of time, right? How many revisions do you need before that actually comes to light? 50%. That's a big ass chunk. We haven't really checked on SMCI. I mean, we kind of liked SMCI with the 2-hour divergence at the low, right? You see this little 2-hour divergence. That's a great look. And then it produced, and these are the best kind, right? These are the best ones because they just freaking run, dude. So for now, the daily scale was able to confirm up as well if you just wanted to take like the simple swing trade, and boom, it's still getting that positivity outside. Pretty much at this point, you're like, okay, we're outside of them. Now, where did we want to pay attention? Well, right here, pretty much this is where you want to be watching. Right here's where we want to be watching, because this is where we would want to pull back to really really get through some key resistance levels here. Right, we can just probably connect like these 2 points right here. We can go, okay. We can say, hey, if it wants to react a little bit higher in some way, this might build up here to break through. Now, this might already be building up to break through. Did you see that? But a lot of the time you want to react to that level, get that little pullback to cross through. I think that's something I'd be watching for SMCI, but it all looks good, and it all started with a little 2-hour divergence. Isn't that crazy? I don't know what he's speaking about, David. I'd appreciate, David, if you try to take a look real quick and let us know. I'm down. I can find out in a second, probably. Much of the job market has been filled with ghost jobs at companies where they post a job but have no intention of filing. I think that one hint that you're probably going to see that is the fact that Elon just came out and said we had people at 150 years old taking benefits. Yeah, take a look for me, David, if you don't mind. And if you can't find anything, I'll look. Just let me know if you aren't able to find anything. So yeah, I think the fact that we found 150-year-olds taking government money, I think you're most likely going to see that a lot of the jobs we were told about, they aren't even there. And that's why we have revisions, right? We have revisions because either the job's not there or it is, and then we finally figure it out. Or they look at that to cause a reaction in the market, then they give you the real number. I'm still bullish. I'll check back when I get bearish. Yeah, Dubs, I don't think I'm like bearish. You'd be crazy to be bearish during this. We're just aware of bearish things. Don't get it twisted. Like these are very bullish signals. I'm not sitting here going, I'm gonna buy 1 million volatility calls right now. That's not what I'm trying to do. Let's go check on Meta. That thing's been going up for a long time. And it's still bullish, right? This is still bullish. Look how crazy that is. The 30-minute is still turning up, turning up, turning up. The 2-hour is still showing all. And the craziest part is, if this gets a breakout, bam, that thing can head up even higher. But we are starting to approach that 750 level, so I'd be interested to see what happens around 750. Believe tariffs, Ukraine, and immigration based on news headlines. I'm at work, though. Okay, believe tariffs. Okay, so we'll see what tariffs he's doing or what he's going to talk about. Agency fire probationary employees. So they're firing probationary employees. More jobs going under. Let's see if he, do I have a Truth Social account? I think I do. Yeah, let's see. Let's see here. Memorandum for the Secretary of the Treasury, the Secretary of Commerce, and the Secretary of Homeland Security, the Director of the Office of Management. Fact sheets. Yeah, he at least himself hasn't announced anything, but I'm sure he'll have more tariff talk, more tariff talk. The dude's a workhorse at this point. Let's see if he has... Oh, Oh, his link doesn't work. That's funny. So yeah, I'd expect more tariff talk later today. That's what it seems like. Checking AMC at all today? Yeah, we checked on it earlier. We can look at it again. I mean, it's doing a great thing. It's doing a great thing. 2 hour, if that confirms down, that's bad. But you're reacting to the great level, right? You're reacting to another great level. If you're going to react to somewhere above this and see resistance come in, where would it be? Well, it'd be like right here. And yeah, your wick takes you right to it. So this could even back off on the 2 hour, and then we'll see something around earnings, right? It could back off. 30-minute, though, looking pretty good. Just has divergence outside of a weekly expected move. Not a good look. But this is exactly what you want to do. You want to be closing at dramatically higher levels. This is a great thing. Doing things like this are where you have the potential for margin calls. This is great because you're above that purple line. This purple line is going to shift next week. If you want this to continue, then next week you want to close above that purple line. And you just keep seeing those big moves up. All right, so we're watching it. The daily's confirmed up. That's great. The 30 minutes positive. The 2 hours positive. The daily is curling up and trying to go positive. I think this is good. Housing looks like it's attempting to bottom. Yes. So I like the look. I don't mind it. I'm aware of the risk. And the risk is we get a 2 hour pullback. For housing, I like to look at the housing sector. You guys know me. I like to look at the housing sector, and the housing sector is showing some interesting things here, okay, on the daily scale. I want you to really be watching the daily scale because I think you need a good confirmation that this is going to go up with the state of how housing really is right now. I'd be really making sure that this heads up. You have a couple of gaps in here. I'd be really making sure this confirms, right, before I think about anything to do with housing. Right, I'd really want that to confirm. You had, I believe... Oh, I thought you had the 2 hour signal. I guess you kind of do for the pop. But once again, I just don't think that this is like the most fantastic pressure. So I want to be aware if that goes wrong. But the daily, if that confirms up, this would say that HGX is trying to make a low and a higher low to take out this high and go take back the 200. But I am fishy about it, okay? That's why I'm looking at a daily chart. I want to make sure that positivity is there, right? Make sure it is there. Get to a good level. Back off. Hold good structure. See that head and shoulders come in. But the fact of it is, we have a lot of risk going out there, so I need to see a great confirmation from the housing sector, which means I'm looking at a daily chart. That's it. Yeah, I don't think it's bad. It looks like it's trying to, but it could easily fall again. We haven't looked at Amazon, so let's go check it out. Thanks for asking. 30-minute divergences popping up all across this failed, right? Failing that cross up right now. Remember, this is where the mixed bag can be confusing. But remember, just because Amazon has reversal signals doesn't mean it has to go up. Just because Meta has reversal signals doesn't mean it has to go down, right? The state of it is, what if Meta does, this is what I would be paying attention to. If Meta starts to seriously break down and Amazon starts to break down further, that's where I would be very worried, especially if other stocks like nvida start to follow, right? Microsoft starts to fail, already is. Google starts to fail, that's starting to turn down. It's still bullish overall for the SPY and the Qs, right? The way they look, but we're starting to see the interior of a lot of stocks not be able to see great confirmations up. Now, you might just need one buyer to come in on Friday for that to happen, but I just wanted to point that out. Amazon has confirmed daily divergence as well. So this tells us that the weekly is likely to cross. What's that weekly look like this week? Well, it's not looking the best, right? And you're about what? 1 day away from confirming that RSI divergence, 1 week away from confirming that RSI divergence. Don't really have it on the MACD, rather flat, if not a little bit up, but kind of flat compared to where the price was here. And now the MACD is just a tiny bit higher. I'd still read into that. I wouldn't call it divergence, but I would read into it and be like, this could get really weak if this confirms down. right? If this signal's confirming and we're able to see big volatility, well, then we might end up down here to a 200 bucks, maybe even worse. If this can drag out and be slow, then I'd look for that 213.52. We'll see. Right now you have a 30-minute divergence again trying to form here, right? We're still holding the divergence at this point, but they're starting to fail, and that's not what we like to see. I think volatility is attempting to make a bottom. I really think it is. I just wish it held a little bit better on this RSI, but it is there. And so this is where I really want to take those potential volatility calls if the 2-hour does turn up. All right, this is where I might look at something actually. Let's see here. That. That. All right. Yeah, so we'll see. I think it is attempting to make a bottom at our 1504. That's what I think. This costs anyway. This thing is annoying, man. I think I want to do something else. So now I'm sitting. We got volatility up and ready to go in case we need to buy that bad boy later today, right? Just in case. Big 2-hour divergence across. What about IWM? IWM, not the best things here. IWM, kind of same scenario. Now, it's getting excited. This is a great level to react to first, right? You get up to here, what do we plainly see? Hey, we need to build up at that level to turn back up. And we tried to make a floor here as well, which is very, very nice to attempt to make a floor there. It means the buyers really tried to step in right here. So I really like this level. So I just do this and go, okay, I'm looking for a reaction here. I'm looking for that to break through by maybe coiling up for a second and turning to the upside. That would be great. If this is going to be bearish, then the 2-hour is going to be able to cross back down. Yeah, pretty simple. You're just stuck between 229.89 and 222.60. You really are. You're stuck between our two levels. So ultimately, a break above this would be bullish. A break below this would be bearish. That's about it. Pretty simple. Will you hold volatility over the weekend? Well, it hasn't confirmed yet, right? I'm not trying to catch this before seeing a big run. I'm thinking about taking a starter position just in case something does happen that I won't mind losing, right? Why? Why would they, why do people do these things? TLT shifting upward finally. Well, yeah, that happened yesterday. That happened Wednesday. We actually topped out and started to see that break down towards Thursday and Friday. And the dollar followed. The hint for this was great because it was oil. Oil hinted that this was going to happen. Because this was what? It topped on Wednesday at 10 o'clock. Pretty sure it was oil topped on Tuesday. So you got like a day long hint from US oil here. And look, it doesn't have any kind of floor. The 2-hour looks like it's going to confirm down again. So most likely yields are going to head lower. Everlasting Knowledge, thank you so much for the $2, and you're welcome. You're welcome. Thanks for being here, bud. Yeah, so this kind of hints to us, okay, those yields might come down lower, which means TLT might go up higher. So, breaking down. Watch oil after this weekend. Yeah, you can see a snapback from oil, especially if you start to get that, you know, World War III trends every other week, I guess, during 2024. So why not do it for 2025? I think he's doing a lot of deals right now, though, like peace deals from what I know. So it'll be interesting. We'll find out. If it picks up, yeah, we should expect oil to get a reaction, but we don't see that reversal signal yet. Maybe it happens on Tuesday. Right. We don't see that reversing around just yet. God, why, like, I wonder if the 4-hour would be a hint here. I wonder if the 4-hour confirmation down would be your good hint, by the way. 4-hour confirmation might be it. Qs, similar thing, outside of the weekly now. So where's the most likely place to land today for the Qs? Right here, right? The little 68% where they overlap. Right there is the most likely place to land by the end of the day. Somewhere between 536 and 531, pretty much. We shall see, my friends, but it is Friday and it is Valentine's Day, and your boy here, because of Richard, has to take his girl out for, you know, an absolutely blessed day. Probably what I'll do. So I think we got to take off a little bit early today, guys, because I want to go make sure to get all this stuff done. I got flowers and stuff to get to. So I will be taking off for the day at this moment, but I just wanted to make sure to put that video out last night to make sure you were aware of some risks. Just note, we are going to be talking further about that after we see how this week closes tomorrow morning. So make sure you're subscribed with notifications on, okay, guys? It'll help out a lot, but I just want to make sure to have a good Valentine's Day. I love you guys, but I love my wife a little bit more, okay? I hope you guys have a great, great day. I hope you guys are able to spend it with someone you love. And if you're not able to spend it with someone you love, hey, treat yourself. Love yourself a little bit. I think you deserve it. So I hope you guys have a great Valentine's Day. I hope you guys have a great weekend, and I'll talk to you guys later on this weekend, all right? Peace out.